Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 5th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Once while Jesus was standing beside the lake of Gennesaret, and the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he saw two boats there at the shore of the lake. The fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little way from the shore. Then he sat down and he taught the crowds from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down your nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked all night long but have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." For he and all who were with him were amazed at the catch of fish that they had taken. And so also were James and John, son of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on, you will be catching people." When they had brought their boats to shore, they left everything and followed him. This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. So if during the sermon I'm distracted, it's because Wellington has joined us up in the top balcony. Wellington is our, I'll say that as we are possessive, even though Ashley and Patrick are next to Wellington. Wellington is here, our congregation's new baby. So one of the congregation's new baby. So that's exciting. So welcome, Wellington. Just so you know, he's excited. Good, good. Thanks for that, Ashley. So I want to talk about 1 degree. 1 degree. I have a friend, John Gustafaro, who wrote a book called 1 Degree. And the theory in this book is 1 degree changes make all the difference in the world. 1 degree. I mean, we know the changes that 1 degree can make. All you have to do is drive from Vancouver down to Oregon City, and you can see the change of temperature, what 1 degree does. We know that taking water from liquid into a frozen state is a 1 degree difference. Or if you are in a boat and you are going for a long way and you are off by 1 degree, that can change where you end up. So the 1 degree difference makes a huge difference. It seems like just a small thing. It makes all the difference. You might have heard of the game 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon. I don't know if a while ago there was a game that if you start talking with someone, you could actually find a connection to Kevin Bacon, the actor, with 6 people. It's amazing, where you talk to one person and they're connected to another person, they're connected to another person. 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. 1 degree. Small little changes. Now, I'm talking about, okay, Pastor, get on with it, especially after last week's sermon, where I went on forever. Sorry about that. But the Word of God gets preached. 1 degree differences. In this text, Jesus gets into the boat, and they pull out, and he teaches, and then he asks them to go further out, and he says, "Simon, put down your net." And Simon, these are professional fishermen. These are folks that do this for a living, and they have fished all night long. I mean, they have fished for a long time. In Alaska, when we'd fish for salmon, we would call it pull hours. I don't know. Tyler, is that the same thing when you talk about pull hours, when you actually have your line down and you're like, how many pull hours have you had in there?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's all right. That's how they would say it. They're like, how many pull hours and how many salmon in that pull hours? They had dropped their net, and they had done it for a long, long, long time, and he caught nothing. So they pull up the nets, so much that they've given up for the day, and they've pulled in or the night, and as they're out, Jesus says, drop the net on the other side. They're professionals. Simon's like, has Jesus lost his mind? He says, we've fished all night long and we've caught nothing. But, okay, since you said it, I'm going to do it. So they take their nets and they drop it on the other side of the boat. And the text tells us they caught so many fish that they had to call their partners, James and John, son of Zebedee, in so they could bring the haul in to shore. Amazing. And I look at that text and I look at the small degree of changes, the 1 degree. Now, when I first started reading this text and I was looking for 1 degree changes, the 1 degree change that I kept getting stuck on was that they moved their net. And that's a small change. I mean, that's minuscule when you're talking about the entire place that they're fishing. They've pulled out, and Jesus says, take the net, move it over, and drop it in. That's a 1 degree change. And I kept getting stuck on that change. But then I realized, no, that's not the 1 degree change. The 1 degree change for the disciples, especially for Simon, was Jesus. The difference between when they were out and they were fishing and the difference between this time wasn't necessarily where they put their net, but it was that who they were following and who was in the boat with them. For them, it was Jesus was the one. And it was that 1 degree change, that Jesus was in the boat with them. For you and me as people of God, I think that makes the entire difference in the world. When we step out in mission, when we step out in action, when we are going to do something, we start asking ourselves the question, what is that 1 degree change that we have to make? Now, we could talk about all the different things that we could do, like if we, Carl, when you are working with the choir, and you could, I'm sure, come up with the examples of what a 1 degree change would be. When you're looking and you're like, if we move that, I'm not a choir director, shocking, but in there, just the change of how people stand or who's going to sing what part, but small changes make dramatic differences. When we look at the things that we do, we ask ourselves, what are the 1 degree changes we make? But as people called followers of Christ, as people who are ones that say, here I am, send me, here I am, send me. Can you imagine that scene? Where angels are singing, holy, 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 and we're hiding in the background and we hear that and we go, here I am, send me. When we look at the 1 degree changes, and then we look at the 1 degree change for the disciples, with Jesus being in the boat, it seems to me that that would direct a particular question that we as people of God need to ask. Not what is Jesus asking us to do better, but what is Jesus asking of us? With Jesus in the boat, we ask ourselves the question, where is Jesus in this? Where is Jesus in this act? Not necessarily what would Jesus do, although that's nice, but what would Jesus do? Jesus would do a lot of things, like turn water into wine, things that we are not able to do because, well, Jesus was God, and Jesus was Jesus. But when we look at that question, where is Jesus in this? If we were to view the church as a boat, which I've mentioned before, architecturally, that's the reason why churches are built the way they are. That's the reason why the pulpit usually is where it's at, is it was seen as a ship upside down. So if we were to look at the church as this boat, full of fishermen, fisher people, called to fish for people, and we ask ourselves the question, where is Jesus in this? And that can change how we outreach. It can change how we are called into this ministry. To ask that question, where is Jesus in this? Congregations, when they put together their guiding principles, start off with the first guiding principle that says, Jesus first. Which everything we do starts with the question, where is Jesus in this? Who is welcome here? Well, who would Jesus welcome? Who are we called to serve? Who would Jesus serve? What are we called to do? Where is Jesus in this? That 1 degree change can change everything. That 1 degree shift can mean, can you imagine what it would mean? It might mean us going, here we are, send us, here we are. So where is Jesus in this place? As we are called to be fishers of people, as we are called to make that 1 degree change, to ask ourselves the question, where is Jesus in this place? When you come and you receive bread and wine, when you come and you dip your fingers in the waters and you make the sign of the cross and you remember that God has claimed you, Jesus is in this place, in you, and in you, and in you, and you, and in you. Because we strongly believe that when 2 or more are gathered, Christ's promises to be in this place. So when we are sent from this place,